Greetings to all of you. And you're welcome to today's conversation that we have in teaching methodology. Basically, we just want to focus on one unit called lesson skimming. So we just want to learn how to skim the works, how to do a lesson, a scheme of work. So that's what we want to look at. You know, a scheme of work is something that is very, very important in the process of learning and training. So you want to make sure that you understand, you know, how to come up with this particular document. You know, to start with, a scheme of work comes from what we call a curriculum. Okay, a curriculum is where we draw the scheme of work. That's where everything starts from. So we need to start by understanding what the curriculum is all about and what really is usually put in the curriculum. Okay, so if you check, the curriculum is just basically a total of all learning experiences and opportunities that are provided to learners in the context of formal and non-formal education. This is according to the National Curriculum Framework of 2023, the Zambian one. Okay, so we are talking about all the things that the students are expected, they are expected to learn. Who then develops this curriculum? So there are different, stakeholders that participate in the documentation or in coming up with this document that is called a curriculum, usually developed by the Curriculum Development Center. So in short, on this part, as a lecturer or as a tutor, you don't really have so much control about the curriculum. You can't make adjustments because it's not within your scope to make any adjustments. So we can move on to the next document that follows, which is closer to you, which is called the syllabus. Now, this is where you directly draw the scheme of work. The scheme of work comes from the syllabus or the course outline. Yeah, let's just put it syllabus or course outline. Okay. So what then is the purpose of the syllabus or the course outline? The course outline or the syllabus is there to define what is to be taught in a given topic to a specified level of learner for a certain period of time. So you specify what has to be taught. That is what is there in the course outline. And mostly in all learning institutions, as a trainer, as a lecturer, you'll be provided with the syllabus, okay? The syllabus which comes from the curriculum. So most of the times, again, in many institutions, as a lecturer, you are just given this course outline. Okay, this is the course outline. Now can you teach? So since the course outline is or the syllabus is usually provided to you, then we can go to the scheme of work, because the scheme of work is actually made by you, the lecturer or the tutor. So the syllabus itself or the course outline helps you to fulfill the general objectives that are actually specified, okay, in the framework, basically. So it enables you as a lecturer to prepare a scheme of work and determine, the teaching strategies that are effective to cover the content. This is what you find on the syllabus or the course outline. Now, the course outline will allow you as a lecturer on the choice of the most suitable learning activities. It will guide you basically. So now let's get straight to the to the scheme of work itself. Now, the scheme of work operates, the syllabus and to be covered over specific in their specific. So that's what scheme of work does. It interprets the syllabus or the, okay, any syllabus delivered and understood to the students. Okay, the scheme of work would define what the learners are required to cover over a given period of time, over a term or over a year. That's what the scheme of work does. So it is there to break down, the syllabus or the course outline units into those teachable, systematic, smaller subtopics, basically, which are to be covered within the given period of time. That's what the scheme of work does. Okay. And I've already said that the syllabus you don't prepare, usually that is, or the course outline is usually provided to you. Also, the curriculum is not within your powers to prepare. Basically, what you would do as a lecturer or a tutor, you start from the scheme of work, okay? When you are given now the course outline, you should be able to break it down into those smaller units. Now, what you will notice is that there are some similarities that are there between, and differences between the course outline or the syllabus and the scheme of work. The major difference is that a scheme of work contains smaller and specific digestible topics or the content material that is derived from the syllabus. So the scheme of work, as I've already said, comes from the syllabus, okay? And so it's there to break down those units, those large topics that you may find from the syllabus into small, specific digestible units that a student or learners can easily do. But when you go to the syllabus or the course outline, this one made simply just to show major themes or major topics that have to be taught. Okay, that's what the syllabus will do, just the topics, the major topics that have to be covered. But a scheme of work will show smaller units of these major themes that have to be covered. It is important to understand that the two are usually similar because they comprise the study lesson to be taught to the learners over a specific period of time. And that's what the scheme of work, the syllabus or the course outline really does. They are similar in that manner. Yeah. Now, what are some of the common types of schemes of work? There is what we call a termly scheme of work that is made before the beginning of the term. This is if you are doing the terms, or you can make a yearly one, depending on the program, right? So on the program or the course that you are delivering, or you can make the month one, or if you just have 2 months, that is what you do. And your question is the scheme of work important? Yeah, the scheme of work is very, very important actually in lecturing. Yeah, because it helps you to understand and they also help in the retention of knowledge by your learners. Because these topics that are in the scheme of work are properly sequenced. And this sequencing will enable those learners that you have to take, the lessons in an orderly manner, okay? And it will help them to have better understanding. The same scheme of work will allow, correlation in teaching where you can, since you already schemed everything, how you're going to teach, what should follow next, it's easy even if you want to ask someone to maybe stand in for you, to cover you up. They can easily just pick it up from there because they already know that, oh, in this week, this person will be covering this. This is what is supposed to be covered. Yeah. And again, it will allow proper use of time because as a lecturer, you are the ones that are preparing these schemes of work, and you are in a position to allocate adequate time for each topic. And of course, we have said that scheming makes the lesson preparations easy because as a lecturer, when you are preparing the lessons, you do not have to worry about what to teach next or what methods you're going to use, what aids you're going to use, okay? You don't worry about when you will complete the topic, when you will start a new one. these things are already planned. You just follow. Work becomes much more easier. That's what is there under the scheme of work. Now, the scheme of work, for you to drive an effective scheme of work or make a very good scheme of work, you need to start from understanding that the schemes of work can either be competence-based or outcome-based, schemes, depending on the curriculum that is being followed. Now, remember, in Zambia, we just recently changed the curriculum, in 2023, into what we call competence-based, curriculum. Now, under competence-based curriculum, it behooves you to understand the key competencies that are outlined in the national, framework or in the curriculum. The key competencies that the students should do, at least after attending to your lesson, walk out with, right? What should the learners really get? Okay, because now this kind of learning is centered on doing, not just on memorizing, putting information that you can't even utilize. Now we are focusing on developing and making our students to be able to practice what we are saying. So you need to try by all the means to make sure that at least your lessons are very practical, extremely practical in the way how they are being delivered, not just purely theoretical. Even if they are notes, try to explain the notes in a practical way. Of course, we'll come to that. So now, the competence-based, the key competences that have to be derived in all learning, according to the new curriculum that was actually developed. These are the key competences. You can design whatever topic and whatever subtopic, but make sure that you pay attention to these competences. What is specific competence am I going to give to these students after this lesson doing? For example, communication skills is a key competence. That's a core competence. Communication skills. A specific competence is the ability to impart ability into students to listen, ability to speak, ability to read, ability to write, ability to present information effectively and confidently in different contexts. That is a competence based. That's a skill. We're not saying you have to teach the whole course communication skill. No, communication skill is just a competence. So that you can always align any of your topic to make sure that in this topic, how can my students maybe learn how better to listen? How can they learn how better to speak, better to write, better to, to present information? How can they be logical and organized in the presentation of the informations? This you want to achieve. Or you can want to achieve critical thinking and problem solving, right? It's also a core competence. This is an ability you want to impart in your students to analyze the situations, right? You want to allow your students to analyze situations. You want to make sure that they are able to evaluate informations and they are able to make informed decisions and solve real life problems. This is what you want to make sure that your students are actually able to do. You want to make sure that the students are able to be creative and innovative. That's a core skill again, competence. This is the ability for them to generate original ideas, okay? They should be able to think imaginably, okay? And they should be able to apply knowledge in a new and useful way. This is creativity and innovation. At this point, I want to make sure that I guide the class that you don't have to have all these competencies just in one class. Your duty is to make sure that when you look at at least each of the class you have should be aligned to at least one or two key competencies that you want to get. One or two key competencies. You may not have a class that has all these competencies achieved. No. But the message is that each class should have at least a competence to achieve from here, from this list. ability, entrepreneurship is another competence, especially for those that teach business related programs. These are key competencies that you can target, right? For example, entrepreneurship, the ability to identify opportunities. You want to train your students to be able to, identify opportunities. They should be able to maybe manage resources. That's a specific competence. They should be able to take initiatives. They should be able to apply basic business and financial skills. Okay, that's under entrepreneurship. Any of these, either you want them to just, you have a class that is just focused on helping, you align it to helping them to manage resources. Then you can write that the core competence in your curriculum, in your scheme of work, the core competence is what? Entrepreneurship, specific competency, managing resources. Simple. Or financial skills. Then there's the digital literacy. Digital literacy is also another competence, especially for those that are teaching ICT, ICT-based courses, and even us who are teaching other courses. But as long as it's, in a way helping a student to be literate digitally, then you have to make sure that at least this is incorporated and mentioned that you want your students to be able to use digital technologies responsibly to access, to process, to create, even communicate information. So you can design a question like that so that they are able, you can design your lesson in such a way that maybe you are just helping them to be able to create something. They are able to maybe process something. They are able maybe to communicate using the digital, technologies like, how to present some information using those things, PowerPoints, whatever. PowerPoints, is it Word document? How do you present tabular? And all the, basically, you just want to have a specific competence that deals with the technology. Another core competence is collaboration and the teamwork. This is the ability we want to impart in our students to work effectively with the others. You don't want the students to just work alone, solo kind of work. Help the students to cooperate. Some students don't know how to work with others. So it's a duty of a lecturer that as you design your lessons, at least some of your lessons would target topics would be designed in such a way that they will help your students to work effectively together, to respect diverse views, respect opinions of others. Those are skills that you want to impart in your students. Self-management, you can do that as well. Financial literacy, ability to manage money responsibly, things like budgeting, saving, interpreting basic financial statements, among others. These are core competencies. Now, from the core competencies themselves, they are the ones that will help you to come up with the scheme of work. And let me now show you the sample for the scheme of work or the format that you have to follow. Here is a format, the format for the competence-based scheme of work. I'm using an example of a course, accounting. I'll use accounting, but even other theoretical competences. So for example, this is how it comes. It should have a week. What week number? This is maybe week 1, okay? Then a topic or subtopic. You can write a topic, then subtopic, or sometimes it's unnecessary to really write both of them. You can just go straight to the subtopic, write the subtopic. From the subtopic, now prescribe the competence that you think they're going to get. Those are core competencies. For example, this one was the analytical thinking and innovation. That was a competence as well outlined there. Then there is the specific competence. What specifically do you want them to do? You want them to demonstrate understanding of for example, the maps in this case. Then content now. What is the content of your lesson? Write the content, expected standard. What do you expect your students to have at the end of all that? Then strategies. What key methods are you going to use when delivering these lessons? Assessments. How are you going to make sure that the students have understood? How are you going to assess them? Materials used. What materials are you going to use? And the references. What key references you are going to use? So this is the structure. It should be in a table form, not an essay form. It should be tabulated like this. So let me just give you another one, another example. This is the one. Now this one is cut. I've already said that the complete one should have this. It follows this format, like in terms of the headers. But for more understanding, I've broken down these into parts from the week up to, for example, concept only. But when you are writing, you should continue horizontally, like these other elements. You should add them as you have already seen previous. But I wanted you to understand. Pick an example. The topic we are looking at is financial statements. It's a big topic. But a subtopic, for example, in week 1 is meaning and purpose. The financial statements meaning and purpose. What prescribed competence do we want our students to get? We want them also communication. What are specific competence and the financial statements? Then you go to content and concept. We want them to then now define what these statements are, explain the purposes, importance of these statements, among others. So this is what we are actually doing, just up to the content. Then you can go to the other lesson next time. But this is a scheme of work. It already has maybe a plan up to maybe the whole month or like 3 months or the whole term of the topics that you are going to teach. It cannot really be all the topics in the course. You can just cut that. Okay, this term I'll present maybe four topics. You put them like this, well planned. Yeah. The next one, within the same week 1, maybe this would be another lesson. Okay, another lesson 2. It will be the uses of financial statements. What key competencies? We want them to learn how to think critically and make decisions. That's a prescribed competence we want. What is specific one? Specific competence. Under specific competence, you want them to identify the users and their information needs. And then the content, you bring now those internal and the external users of the information and their needs. That's the content. And again, you can move on to another lesson. For example, this should be maybe in week 2, depending on the timetable. We have already said when you are planning the scheme of work, you have to come up with, first of all, the amount of time that you have to deliver those lessons. You have the whole year, you have 6 months. How much time do you have? Or you should take note of the days when you will not be teaching, for example, the holidays, among others. So you have the income statement. What specific competence? You write the specific competency like that. Then when it comes to the content, to what is this? The learning, you can come to learning activities. What learning activities are they going to be doing? So I've already said that these are in the row, in a row, all of them. So I've just cut them so that you can visibly see them, but they should be joined in a row. Learning activities, we want them to brainstorm, right? That's what they are going to be doing. They'll be brainstorming. They'll be doing maybe group discussions on a business record, for example. Let me explain what I mean so that you understand. For example, we start with this first one, financial statements, meaning and purpose. That is the subtopic. The prescribed competencies, analytical thinking and communication. Specific competencies, the meaning and purpose of financial statements. The content will be definitions, the purpose, and importance of financial statements. Then, what activities now? Learning activities. Students will be brainstorming. There will be group discussions, maybe on business records. Then expected standard. At the end, we expected them that they should have understanding and the purpose of importance of financial statements and demonstrate that. Then at the end of that, we have strategies. What strategy are we going to use? We'll use a direct instruction where we'll teach them, like this is about this, this is about that. Then guided discussion. We'll give them now a discussion where they will be bringing their ideas and we'll be controlling them and correcting them like that. Then all assessments, we use maybe oral questioning, ask them, what about this? Okay. And then or short written exercises, something like that. We are just using one. Then maybe you use a whiteboard, use the materials. And then finally, the references. Where are you getting that information? Maybe it's from financial accounting syllabus, as well as maybe Frank Wood textbook, accounting's textbook, like that. You write, those are references. Then let me get back to another one, the second one. The second one is the users of financial statements. Critical thinking is by the users and their information needs. Content, internal and external users of financial statements. Then from there, we have the learning activity, which will be case study analysis, all right, or a group presentation of those users. Then the standards, we expect the students to have to be able to correctly identify the users and their needs. Method, this should be learner-centered discussion where students are discussing, or maybe we bring a case and then they start analyzing and studying that we're discussing. Assessments, we can just use some observation checklists, how they are discussing, what key things they are bringing out, and maybe a simple class exercise. And then we can come to the materials. We can just use a case scenario. We bring a case or a scenario, then they start digesting it. And then material references, you can put now financial accounting, the textbook, or whatever references that are there. This is just in a nutshell. I'll share these. What are these? We'll be able to share these, all of these slides, so that you can follow. So when you compact everything again, this is how it comes out. Because everything I've said, it should be in one, it should be at least together, joined. So you have, for example, topic and subtopic here, meaning of, purpose of what? Financial statements, analytics, specific competences, content, learning activities, expected standards, strategies or the methods, assessments, materials and resources, and finally, references. This is how it comes out now when you're done making it. Making your work much more easier. Then from there is the second one. The second one is this one. This will be the second lesson, maybe it's in week 2 or whatever. Maybe will be in week 3, just like that. So that's what you want to do. Okay, this is a simple structure of a scheme of work. This is how it is presented. So you can design a scheme of work as long as you understand. You just first of all identify this the topic and try to align that topic. Think what key competences are there that you can really give to the students through that topic. And this is the whole idea behind the competence-based scheming, so that our lessons are made very effective and useful to our students. Scheming is very important, and it will really help you a big deal as a lecturer. I'll share these slides, as well as the ones that are already in Word document. so that you can just maybe copy that, then you just do some editing just like that. You can obviously also integrate the use of artificial intelligence basically in some key areas that you think you might not be understanding. But just understand how you come up with this. This will really help you, because if you already have a scheme of work, everything becomes easy, well planned throughout the whole term. You already know exactly this day I would talk about this, stress-free. No need of doing things haphazardly. Yeah, we can end here for the scheme of work. And the next lesson that is very important from here is the lesson plans. Now, how you develop lesson plans from the scheme of work.